All right, everyone. So now we are going to check out a video from Genetically Modified Skeptic. And so again, in this video, the first half or so of the video, he's talking basically about why young people are attracted to whatever it may be, like the conservative movement or something like this. And you've got young people who are disillusioned and looking for meaning in life. And he's saying that conservatives or Republicans or whatever he was saying are basically using that. They're using that to take these young guys and basically point them in the direction they want to go for their own benefit and so on. But they're using issues these young people have, and they're veering them in a certain direction. But that direction is evil, according to Drew, Genetically Modified Skeptic. It's an evil direction. And so anyway, he's talking about that. And then he gets to the point about Charlie Kirk as like the prime example of someone who's doing this, because he's focusing on reaching young people a lot. And so that's got to be bad. So anyway, we're going to check out the section that's about Charlie Kirk. So here's where he starts on Charlie Kirk.
Few, if any, I'd argue, are more effective in and focused on delivering a sense of dark enchantment to young men than Charlie Kirk, who is arguably the most powerful, popular, and influential figure in Gen Z Christianity.
I'm Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, together the largest conservative grassroots organizations in the country.
He started Turning Point USA in 2012, and today it has over 800 chapters and over 250,000 members. It started as a political organization to mobilize young people on college campuses to vote Republican, but now it's marketing itself as a Christian ministry in actual churches.
That is interesting. So started off geared towards, here's the thing. It's Drew. I'm not familiar with the origins of Turning Point USA or what's been going on with it and so on. And so I would normally be inclined to just take Drew's word for it. But given what he says later, that I actually know he's wrong, it's hard to take any. Drew, you kind of ruin your credibility over time when you do stuff like this. But anyway, so we'll just go with him on that it starts off as trying to get young people to vote Republican or something like that, and is now basically a Christian ministry because they have this big emphasis on Christianity.
Kirk went on to forge a relationship with Pastor Rob McCoy, head of Godspeak Calvary Chapel of Thousand Oaks in California, and together they founded Turning Point Faith. The effort reaches out to pastors nationwide to encourage them to embrace political messages as a church growth strategy, an initiative that has doubled as an engine for turning out the pastors' congregations for conservative candidates. The political messages Kirk and his allies espouse have also come to include constant defense of Trump, as well as Christian nationalism. McCoy has spread falsehoods about the January 6, 2021 attack.
It is interesting that Drew is blasting this guy, not familiar who this guy is, but blasting this guy for spreading falsehoods when Drew is spreading some seriously messed up falsehoods and loving it. But what's this say? The political messages Kirk and his affiliates espouse have also come to include constant defense of Trump. Oh, is he just reading this stuff? Let me see.
On the U.S. Capitol, for example, and has defended a member of his church sentenced to jail for his role in the insurrection. By the way, I have no relationship to Pastor McCoy here. I actually do have relationships to a few Pastor McCoys, but not this one. We might share a kind of cowboy-ass last name, but I don't know him. I don't condone him. Thanks.
Oh, so apparently his last name is McCoy. It's actually a cool cowboyish name. Just sucks that such a cool cowboy name was wasted on Drew here.
You. Just a brief look into Charlie Kirk's messaging to his primarily young male audience reveals an apocalyptic ideology obsessed with supposed evil.
Our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population.
The fact that people are out here with a different religion than me is what's causing all the problems. You, watching at home, cannot be free until everyone stops being different from me.
I'm sorry.
Drew just has no clue what he's talking about, right? So you can go all the way back. Go back to like Plato's Republic and so on. What were the criticisms of democracy? What were the criticisms of democracy back then? It was basically, it's just going to end up mob rule, right? It's just people are going to decide what they want, and they're going to be completely controlled by their desires, and they're going to just vote for whatever they want, and they're not going to make wise choices and so on. So it's kind of like a mob rule type of situation. Well, what if you had a population that was going on something more? So you bring in the idea of like, a constitution, hence constitutional republic and so on, and have voting for representatives. But basically the idea of the founding fathers was something along these lines. Yeah, if everyone just votes for whatever they want, you would get something like mob rule and so on. So they come up with a system of checks and balances. You've got a constitution guaranteeing rights that the government will not stop you from exercising and so on. But the main thing was, they pointed out, again, that the famous quote from John Adams is, "Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It will not work for anyone else." They took it and by the way, you can go to a bunch of the other, you could just look up founding fathers and type the word virtue in, and a bunch of quotes from them will pop up. They agreed that you need something that is constantly being taught and reinforced and encouraged, that encourages people to behave virtuously, that they're going to handle these freedoms responsibly. And that if you don't do this, if they lose that framework and they just use these freedoms to do whatever they want, they said the system is going to break down. It's not going to last. It's not going to work. And so in theory, you could be a different part of the world and something else could be the basis for having that level of self-control that allows you to have freedoms and so on. It's just a matter of fact that in the US, it was a majority Christian population, and that was what they believed was going to help people behave virtuously. People are going to church, they're being taught in Christian schools, they're being taught Christian values. Guess what? You can give them all kinds of freedoms. And they warned, if you end up not handling these freedoms responsibly, if you end up ignoring virtue or loving vice, loving bad behavior, and you still have these freedoms, the system's going to break down. So what's Charlie pointing? He's pointing out exactly what the founding fathers would have said. Keep in mind, this isn't saying if you're not a Christian, you can't behave virtuously or something like that. It's like, if you remove that, what else is there? What else is there to play that role for your society? Atheism? No, atheism doesn't, you could be the nicest person in the world and be an atheist. You could be terrible and be atheism doesn't tell you how you're supposed to behave. So that can't be a replacement. What replaces it? What replaces Christianity as this sort of foundation for society? And this is something that Francis Schaeffer talked about a bunch. It's basically you either people need to have these Christian values, or you're going to get a tyranny. The reason you're going to get a tyranny is if you do not have that emphasis on virtue because of a solid foundation, then people are going to go in every direction they want. They're going to do everything they're going to behave in whatever way they feel like. They're going to use their freedoms for evil, and those freedoms are going to have to be taken away because society is going to self-destruct. And before it just turns to anarchy, a tyrant's going to step in, and that tyrant is going to control your behavior. So the idea is you can either be controlled from within or you'll be controlled from without. If you do not have self-control, you still will be controlled. You will be controlled. It's just going to be a completely different form of government. So this is reality. This is just reality. This is how the system works. This is how the system was set up. And you've got genetically modified skeptic who, there was just a clip. I should have pulled it up, but it was it's on a different topic. But Ben Shapiro was just on Bill Maher's show. And Bill Maher's going, the Bible's evil, the Bible's evil. And Ben Shapiro responded. He says, how come you and I agree on like 87% of the things we talk about? Why do we agree? And Bill Maher, it's just common sense. And so, no. What? Tons of other people in the world would disagree with us. Why do we agree? And he's argued that we've basically been influenced by the same Bible. Just Bill Maher doesn't realize it, right? Bill Maher thinks he came up with these ideas on his own and stuff. And so Ben Shapiro pointed out, it's actually an awesome little clip. I should share it. I should make a little video out of it. But Ben Shapiro pointed out, he said, you act like you think you just hit a triple in baseball. You just hit a triple and you're on third base. You got to third base because you're awesome, because you're triple. He goes, no, you basically, you're born on, morally you're born on third base, meaning someone else did that for you. Someone else got you there. And he's pointing out that the impact that Christianity, and Ben Shapiro was talking about, he's a Jew and he's talking about Christianity. But he said, basically Christianity has influenced everyone, including atheists. And now atheists don't even realize it. But that's kind of what Drew seems like. Like he was raised in a Christian family. He's raised in a society that's been massively influenced by Christianity. But he's still, it's like Dawkins, right? It's like Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and all these guys, a couple decades ago, they sat around in their room going, we don't need this religion stuff. We're fine. We get along. We're not killing each other. So why is the rest of the world worse off than us? Oh, because of religion. So if we just get rid of religion, then everyone will act like us. And they don't realize that the reason they're able to even be atheists in a society has a lot to do with the impact of Christianity and Christian ideas and so on. So anyway, Drew apparently thinks this guy's spouting complete deranged nonsense, even though he's just telling you what the people who came up with the system said about it. We've made a constitution. We've got a Bill of Rights. We've got a system here, and this system will work if people can have self-control, if people can be virtuous, if people are learning to behave like good people. If that stops, the system's going to break down. And Charlie Kirk apparently took these guys seriously. Genetically modified skeptic thinks he's just deranged.